as you can see, I can ping that webhook, and with a nice little live wire magic, this page updated, and it's basically accepted that conversion to this account. It's created it in the database, and you can see it here. Now, if I hit this webhook again now, we're going to get another one, and I just keep hitting these, and they'll come through in here. Now, what I wanted to do was to be able to fire an event when we got our first conversion through. I've been struggling to figure out how to do this. So what I thought I would do at first would be basically to do it this way. So this is the API controller that accepts the webhook. So when you hit this URL here, it'll accept the URL parameters, obviously, and create the new entry. So this is where it's doing its create. And then I've just decided to add this little bit of logic in here, which would be look in the account, which is loaded, which is passed through from the roots, the root model binding. And so it's basically saying get all the conversions for this account, and we've just created a new conversion here. I'm saying get 2, count them, and look to see if it's equal to 1. So basically, if it's the first one, so if we've just created it, then it's not going to be equal to 1. So it will be our first one. If it's not the first one, so we've got multiple conversions already stored into this account, then this won't be true, so it won't fire this event. So all I really want to do is fire this event, received first conversion, when this happens. So this event does get fired right now. I can show you that by going to table plus. I will remove all these conversions, and I will go back to the browser, and let's go to mail trap. Let's log in here. In fact, let's see if I can go to mail trap. All right, so we've got no unread messages at the moment. I'm just going to start Horizon up because all the events and everything is put on the queue. So I just start Horizon up there, copy this webhook, go to a new one, fire it in. Should get created here. Done. Let's go to the table plus. It's in there. And then with a little bit of luck, if I go back here, it should have fired me an email here saying that this was the first one. So let's see. Why did that not happen? And is it because I'm still using mail trap? PHP artisan config clear. I'm just going to clear my config because I think I may have been playing around with Mailtrap and my live Mailgun account. So I'm just going to clear the config and then start Horizon back up. I'm going to go back to table Plus, just delete this one because I want it to be the first one that we create. Back into our accounts, copy the webhook, receive the webhook. This will update here, and we should now get. Nope. All right. Why we're not getting it here? Okay, storm. First received. Well, I can see that it's processing the event. First received first conversion notification. Not entirely sure why it's not sending the email, but I tell you what, I'm not going to worry about it too much for now. So what we know is that it's fired the event. So this logic here works, but the problem is, or what I've been trying to figure out how to do is every time the URL, the endpoint is hit, the webhook is hit, that's going to create the new entry in the database, which is fine. But then it's going to always do another database hit to look up to see if it's the first time that it was created. And the issue I have with that is when you create a new account and then you start loading conversions into that, I mean, it's only ever going to accept its first conversion once in its lifetime. So it seems pretty stupid to then, every time that we're accepting these webhooks to the API, that we're going to hit the database to create it, and then each time check to see if it's the first one, because it's only ever going to happen that first time. And every little bit of logic that I've thought about doing, even looking into the actual conversion thing, I was thinking, well, why don't we add a function in here which does this logic? And so we can take the conversion, and then each time we can look to see if it's the first one. But again, it's going to have to hit the database. Another option that we have is to swap this out from checking in the database and doing these counts, and maybe storing it in Redis or some sort of cache, which I think is a viable option. But my issue with that is I really don't like persisting things in Redis that way. I don't know why. It's probably a perfectly valid way of doing things. I mean, you just use the basic cache, and then I guess you're just caching it forever, and you're coming up with a key that's saying something to do with the account. And so when it comes in here, it looks to see if that exists in Redis, in the cache. And if it does, then you know that it's not the first one. Which I guess is, I mean, I do quite like that option. I think the reason why I don't necessarily like the cache thing is that the cache you could clear it. Like, I don't know, you could create a new Redis store. You could have to move the Redis store, and I guess what I think about the caching is that you're looking in the cache to see if it's there, and if it's not there, then you're going to create it, right? But if it is there or it isn't there, it shouldn't really interfere, or it shouldn't affect the running of your application. And what this would, unfortunately, if you were to clear that cache, if you were to install a new version of Redis for whatever reason, or move it onto an empty server, or I don't know, if somehow it managed to clear out, then for every single account that we had, and we basically we were accepting the webhooks all the time, every account would clear out, which means that everybody would, well, if we were going to do this event, would basically get fired for every single account to say that a first conversion had been received, but it wouldn't have been the first one at all. So that's the reason why I don't necessarily like the caching idea. So I think what I've ended up thinking about the solution is to create a key onside my account table, which basically says like first received at or first conversion at, probably first conversion at. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to check my accounts table and see what columns I've got in here. Sure why this filter's open, but alright, so accounts. Still getting a little bit used to Table Plus. I'm so used to SQL Pro. I have no idea why these are open. I guess it doesn't really matter. But alright, so structure, and what I'm going to do is add it after the currency, I think. Alright, so let's do a make migration. I'm going to add the first conversion at column to the accounts table. Pass the table accounts in here. All right. And first. So I'm going to just add the string. No, date time. And it's going to be first conversion at. It's going to be nullable. And it's going to be after the currency. I'm just going to put the drop in here just in case that we decide to go down. Alright, so drop that, create that. Okay. So back into terminal, run the migrate, go into Table Plus, and first conversion at, it's a date time, which should be a timestamp. Yeah, definitely should be a timestamp. PHP artisan migration rollback. Migrate rollback, I always do that. Migrate rollback. And this is going to be a timestamp. Okay, go. Table Plus. Timestamp. Alright, first conversion at. And it's nullable. Alright, so whenever you create an account, the first conversion is going to be null, which is perfect, which is fine. Absolutely fine. So what we'll do in here now is we have the account, so we can do something like let's do if the account first conversion at. So if this is null, okay. So if this is null, so we've got the account, we can't really do this here like that, can we? So because it's not going to be null, because it's going to, it will be null because it would have created it here, but it still won't have created the first one. So if it's null, then I guess what we can do is say that if this exists, then we can say that the accounts first conversion at equals now account save, and then fire the event. does that look? So if this is null, if it's null and that, maybe we can move these out here. If is null and account conversion, then we're going to set that the account first conversion is this one, and we're going to save that, and then we're going to fire the event that it's received. I think this, for this first version, I think this looks reasonably good. I mean, I might end up coming back to refactor this out. Could have put this maybe. I could have put this maybe into an action. I mean, we've got a few. This control is not too bad. I mean, I know for this root, this control is getting hit. I know what it's going to do. I know that I can come in here and I can read this. It's readable. I have too many problems with this. We're going to create it. We're going to do a check to see if it's the first one. Fire an event if it is, and then do the dispatch, which is a job to upload that one conversion. Anyway, probably could put all this into an action. Might be a little bit cleaner for the controller, but I think I'm pretty happy with this for now. So let's test this. Let's just go back to our table plus. I'm going to go to conversions, look in here. I'm going to delete this one. Alright, back to Chrome. So we've got no conversions in here right now. Let's go start Horizon. Alright. Start Horizon. Let's then copy the webhook and hit it. This should update. Nice little bit of limeware, okay. Limeware? Livewire? Lime? I don't know what was on my mind. Bit of livewire there, it's updated. Let's have a look to see what's happened. Received first conversion notification. Conversion, here we go, yeah, so it's up here, isn't it? Processing, sending, received first notification. Processing, why are we processing it so many times? Processing, processed, processing, processed. Why have we got this so many times? Received first conversion notification. There are the notifications. So what I'm going to do is going to comment this out. This is getting a little bit confusing here. Cancel out, start that again. Okay, let's have a look. Table plus. I'm going to delete this. Oh, what's that now? No. Alright. Copy webhook. Fire webhook. Where are my events? Where are my events? Why are we not doing anything? Received first notification should have been first. It should be because the account been set that it's had its first conversion. So even though we've been deleting the conversions from the conversions, the account actually talking the data. First conversion is here. So let's set that back to null, save that to minimize that, and we're back. Okay, let's try it one more time. Just to confirm that I deleted. No, I didn't. Delete the conversion. Okay, back in here. So let's hit the webhook. Great. So that should have done the check to see if this is the first conversion. Still doesn't seem to be firing that event there. Am I doing something wrong here? So it's appeared in here now. Disable plus, it's appeared in here. Counts. First conversion is being updated again. What time is that? 17. Oh, that's the date of the server, isn't it? No. Save. Delete. Right. Let's try this again. Hit it. Fine. Ah, here we go. Processing. Send, receive first notification. Okay, so this is the listener for the event. So the event does get fired. I kind of thought that the event would be queued, but the event happens in real time. And then the listeners listen for the event. So that's saying that the event's being fired fine. Send received first conversion notification. Then that says it's being processed. And then for some reason it's then received first notification. That's been queued twice. Just a little bit intrigued to know why that's been received first notification. Is it because I've got two? It's going to take out the database. I'm just interested. I can leave this in, I think. It's going to go through that process just one more time. And I'm going to delete that, go back to the accounts, set that back to null, save that. I'm going to clear this and then start Horizon back up just so we can clear the logging. And I'm going to hit one more. I'm just intrigued to know if that's firing that received first notification. Okay, so okay. So inside my the actual notification, I had it set to mail and also database. So it looks like it's then queuing both those items, which is good, fine for me. I was just intrigued to know. So this would, I think, to me this looks like it's working. So if I continuously hit this, so we should see a few more come in now. Just refresh that page a few times. So the conversions are coming in, that's fine. Just go back to Storm. And so it should have then it has created these entries in here, but because the account had a first conversion at column, it's not fired that event. So all it's done is checked. It's now come into the API endpoint. It's passed the account in with the root model binding. So we already have the account. So we can store the conversion on the account. And then because we already have the account, we can just check that parameter to see if it exists or not. And if it does, then we don't have to do anything. We don't fire the first received conversion event. And so we'll not have to hit the database at all. I mean, to me, this makes much more sense, and now it's stored. It's stored in the database, and to be honest, this might be a little bit better for this table as well, because this table is basically saying for these accounts, how are we receiving any conversions yet? And so this one is receiving conversions, and as you can see, this one has not received any conversions yet. So that's just a nice little UI thing there on the accounts list. But to do that, I've had to do a lookup for the conversions on that account. But what I can do now is actually look to see for that first conversion at column to see if that is null or not, and I can then just flip these two to say is the account receiving conversions or not, just based on that. Yeah, I think that's nice. That's a nicer way of doing things. It means it's stored in the database. It's persisted. I don't have to rely on any caching or redis or anything. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off now.